Welcome to the Washdown podcast. And on this episode, we have former Battalion Chief Greg Opie Taylor back on the show. He recently retired, so we talked to him about that. We kind of cover a wide range like we normally do. So hope you guys enjoy this conversation. Remember to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And here you go, the Washdown podcast with Opie Taylor. We're going.
In dead air.
Dead air. I like it. Usually we wait at least like 5 minutes before we have dead air.
At least it's not dead ant. Dead ant. Dead ant. Dead ant. Dead ant. Dead ant.
Wow. Just retired and already making Pink Panther chips. Revenge of the Nerds showed up.
Oh, yeah. If you turn that mic just a little bit up, there you go.
Okay.
That might catch you a little bit better. So, Opie, thanks for coming back.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, as Chris mentioned, you just retired like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
After how long?
33 years, 7 months, and 10 days.
That's a pretty good career.
How many hours?
I didn't figure that out. Regular or overtime?
Oh, geez. If you added overtime, you'd probably have 50 years.
It was a rough last couple of years.
Yeah.
I know those paychecks are nice.
Yeah.
With all the overtime on it.
Yeah. Jeep's paid for.
Nice.
Just not the parts on it.
All the parts on it are paid for. Knock on wood.
Well, so what have you been doing since you retired?
Catching up around the house, keeping up at my mom's because my dad passed away a year and a half ago. And then trying to catch up at my mother-in-law's. She's got 22 acres as well. My mom's got 20. She's got 22. But her husband passed away in a car wreck in 2005. So it's just been a kind of a struggle to keep up there.
Yeah, that's
I can see that.
That's a lot of property for somebody to keep up on, especially with advanced age.
Yeah, and if you're not there all the time. I mean, if you're there all the time, you can go out after dinner, knock a little bit of this, a little bit of that out. But when you've only got a couple hours a week,
yeah,
then it really
Adds up quick.
puts a hamper on you.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I would love to have 20 acres.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Jeremy called me, hey, I need to do nope, I'm mowing, man, sorry.
Yeah.
No,
I
that's
got my
total
tractor and my AC.
100% bullshit because you do not mow anything. Your wife mows the grass.
No, she doesn't. My brother does.
Oh.
And I pay him.
That and you get landowner permits too
So there you go.
for deer hunting, deer and turkey in the fall.
Oh, see, that would be nice.
Can I shoot him off my deck? Because that'd be my deer stand.
It depends. You can't do it in the city, but
Yeah,
if it's out of the county somewhere, yeah.
that's where I want to be
Yeah.
one day.
So, what's your long-term plan?
Long term,
Yeah.
just to enjoy retirement. I don't plan on working anymore if I don't have to, and that's why I kind of set myself up the way I did. And I just want to relax, travel, take the Jeep wherever, and
Yeah.
do whatever, and travel, and don't really have any desire to go overseas anywhere. There's too much to see here in the United States.
Is your wife retired?
No.
No.
She's looking for a full-time job.
So you're traveling solo. Is what
Pretty
you're saying.
much, yeah.
Yeah. Send her a picture every time you see it. Something
Well,
cool.
I mean, I guess it wouldn't be that big of a transition because you were always gone for work. So
Yep.
now you're just gone for vacation.
Yeah. She likes those times because I'm home every night. She's like, oh, you again?
Why don't you go work some overtime? I've heard that before.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, can't you just go to the station?
Well, she told me the last couple of years, I said, it's going to get really, really bad. And she was like, that's all right. We kind of need the money. We'll get everything paid off, paid down. And she said, if it comes up, take it. And I said, okay, well, if you have if you have anything you want to do, let me know, and I won't take it that day. So I always hit all the girls' functions and anything she wanted me to take off for, we did.
Well, at least you were able to get a little bit of that balance.
Yep.
So, because, the last couple of years, I mean, for industry wide, with being short staffed, everybody's just been. I think it probably wouldn't have been as bad if we could have got more people to actually work the overtime instead of there just being a,
I think a lot of that. I say a lot. I think some of that falls with the FLSA crap that they pulled, and I think that was to save the city money. I think if they went back to straight time and a half on the overtime, I think you'd see a lot of that alleviate itself.
So I've talked to other people around, and a lot of departments do that. I didn't realize that. So it's not even. I mean, again, that's industry wide because of the federal FLSA stuff, and I think it definitely hurts you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I think we were already moving towards the trend of people not really working the overtime. I mean, I think you'll always have those that do, and those that they're just there for a paycheck, and they're going to come work 24 and then they're going to go home.
Well, you've also got the ones that their wife works 12-hour nursing shift, whatever, and they've got to be home to watch the kids too.
Yeah.
So there's that, or their wife makes, or husband, depending on who we're talking about, makes really, really good money, and they don't have to work overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind having that option where my wife made a lot of money and I could choose if I want to or not.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still at a point where I can choose, but if I want to buy something expensive, Jeep, or another motorcycle or guns.
I've been trying to convince him to get a Jeep for, I couldn't tell you how long.
So Jane wants a Jeep, but she wants to be your everyday driver, and I'm like, no, you don't want that.
No.
It would be something that would just be parked in because of the HOA, and I like to make them mad, I would park it on the side of the house just to get them fired up. But I've thought about it, but I got 3 cars as it is.
Yeah, you got to get rid of something.
Nope.
Or you need to buy a bigger house with more garages, which we were driving on our way yesterday. We had to go pick some stuff up north and drove by this house, and it had 6 garage doors on the underside, like driving into the basement. So I think the whole basement was just a garage.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
And it had one door that was like one of the big, like 15-foot doors.
Yes. That fit my truck.
I could pull my Jeep into that one finally. Oh.
No, I mean, whenever we decide to move out of the city, if I need to have a pole barn, I will.
We were talking about it yesterday, and we're thinking like barn dominium.
That's what I want.
That's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Cheaper to build.
Only her idea and my idea are like 180 degrees off.
There's so many things you can do with them, though.
Yeah.
If you want to cut it up on the inside like a house would be, you can. Or you can leave it wide open, have a loft.
Yeah.
Or you can have a really small house part and a really big garage part, which is what I want. I don't need a whole lot of space in the house.
I don't either. We want a bigger barn, and then I want to just add a 1-story, kind of a ranch style onto it.
Yep, that's what we want.
Just have a basement for a storm shelter is all.
Yeah. And see, my brother wants the columns like you see in the southern plantations, which I think they're beautiful, but I'm like, I don't, like you say you want stairs now, like you don't.
No.
Because we're shit full of stairs.
Well, and you run into the situation like what we've got. We've got an older dog, a 14-year-old, about to be 15. So we have to carry her up and down the stairs now. She, like when we first moved in, she could do them, no problem. And, in the space of a year and a half, almost 2 years, now she can't do the stairs.
Yeah. Rock was like that at the end where I kind of really had to help him.
Yeah.
But he went from doing the stairs to not getting up.
Yeah.
In the matter of 12 hours.
Yeah.
So it was a little different there, but we really had to help him. We started taking him out front, and there's a couple stairs there, but not your normal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no stairs.
Yeah. Well, what Rachel wants, or what we've talked about, is kind of doing like where the first story is like the garage, or in her version, it's a barn. and then above is a loft with living quarters and stuff.
All right, so say, argument's sake, say you do the barn. Say you do that.
Yeah.
How do you keep the smell from animals from getting into your living space?
I asked her that, and she said people do it all the time. I don't know how.
That is not an answer.
Yeah.
You keep them outside.
There's that.
No, there would be horses in all of those stalls.
Well, I mean, and I like horses too, but they smell.
Yeah.
They don't smell as bad as pigs.
No, nothing smells as bad as pigs. But I mean, that causes an issue, though. If you have your living quarters above a barn, there's going to be an odor constantly, and it's going to get in your clothes. And
Yeah.
when you do that, that once every 2 months when you go into town to get your supplies, you're like, oh, here comes the stinky couple.
When is this airing?
This will be July
Well,
July 20 something, I
I
think.
was gonna put a punch in for Firefest this weekend.
Oh yeah, no, it won't be.
This Saturday at Independence Event Center. If you guys aren't doing anything, 9 to 3, I believe. We'll have the 27 Aaron's Fox out there from the museum, and I've been trying to get more involved with the museum now that I've got time, a little more time.
You going to take over?
No, I don't want that job.
I get it. What about not even as the historian, maybe?
No,
Because I mean, he's getting up there.
he is way more knowledgeable than I would ever.
We're sorely gonna miss him.
He is a wealth of information.
Yes, he is.
He is invaluable. His you should see the documents and the records that he has personally. It's incredible.
Does he have everything he knows written down?
Pretty much, yeah.
Good. I mean, it's like when you lose you have that grandparent who knows everything about the family, and then when they pass, you're like, because you lose all that knowledge and
Yeah.
everything about the family that goes with them.
Well, and then if somebody will bring up an idea and he'll sit there and write a publication about it. He was writing, I think the last one, he was writing the history of the fire stations. Not just a history of them, but where each number was, like say 10s, for example, because it's been in, I believe, 3 different locations. And he'll have that information there, and then sometimes there'll be a little snippet about that station.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I like to read that.
We've talked about that knowledge gap and knowledge loss. How do you pass on all of your knowledge?
You have to find someone with a super passion for it, like he's got.
Well, in a broader term is what I'm talking about, like knowledge for the fire service. Like with you, like you pull up to a house fire and there's things that you would see from your experience that, how do you pass that on?
That's kind of that's just absorbed by other people. It's sometimes you can teach it, and some people you can teach it to. Say you look for this and this and this, and other people they have to experience it to be able to absorb it.
So there are departments out there that film every fire. Like every firefighter has a camera on their helmet, and there's front-facing cameras on the rig. I'm not advocating either way. So, but then as you're pulling up, you've got your pre-arrival from the rig you can critique, and then as you're going in, you're seeing what every person's looking at, and because he's going to look at something different than you and then me, but then we can say, "Oh, did you see this?" And we can go back and look, and I think that's another way where we could pass on knowledge and teach our crews and ourselves to have a better knowledge of our craft.
Good luck getting that purchased.
There is that.
Yeah, because I think it's Stockton Fire.
Stockton, that's kind of the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
And I've watched a lot of their videos, and a lot of them are cool. I think they do a really good job, and it definitely shows for the people who watch it, like general public doesn't know what we do for the most part.
Yeah.
And they think we break windows and chop holes in the roof.
Yeah.
and make a mess inside.
But there's
we
reasons
do
for
those
that.
things.
and there's reasons for it, but you can see the coordination, of getting to the, opening that roof and putting water on the fire and all of this that the public doesn't get to see or that we know that we feel. Because we all know that as soon as that roof opens, you can tell a huge difference. But now I think your coordination would get better on your attack. I mean, I think ours as a whole is really good, but we can always improve, and that's job wide, service wide. Now, yeah, purchasing would be an issue.
Well, and then that could also get in and assist the investigators as well. Mm-hmm. And I did that the last year and a half, a lot of investigating, which was really interesting. It's kind of the Detective Clouseau side of the fire department. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
You know what? It's such a valuable. I was talking to one of the investigators the other day because we had a big to-do. A lot of companies were there and involved, and I got to have a decent conversation with one of them. And it's the job that they do is so valuable, but it's so. I don't want to say that it's looked down on, but it's just not understood.
I think it's more not understood.
Yeah.
I think if a lot of guys understood it more, they would pay more attention at fires.
Yeah.
Like when they're throwing a TV out the window, if it's catching on something, the cord's plugged in, the cable's plugged in.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably occupied. Or if it's not, hey, they just throw an old TV in here to make it look occupied.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I
think
think
something small.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a training aspect that we probably could get a little bit better on of whenever, we do have those fires that we don't just take everything out immediately. Obviously you want to put the fire out and all that, but you also have to leave the investigator enough to investigate.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you just
tearing
take
out all that drywall or, taking a house to the studs, any evidence that was there.
Yeah,
is gone.
We tried pushing,
cover up.
We did try pushing that out this last year that I was there, and me being on the 8-hour shift and not in the districts, I don't know how the other district chiefs pushed it out to their guys.
It's more out there. They've been working on it for a while, and I think this is service wide.
Yeah,
because it's so important. The investigators, not like you said, not knowing exactly what they do and how they do things. You could take that a step further because you're talking prevention, inspectors. You talk about a disrespected part of departments, the fire inspectors, and what they see and what they can pass on. And now we're in a technology age, in our world. You can't go to a city and not see computers on a fire truck, or in a chief's car. And we're not using it anywhere close to its full potential.
Oh no, we were supposed to be able to use that mobile data terminal 3-4 years ago for pre-plans. We could plug them in on fires, on addresses, look up the addresses really quick, and hazards and all that, which we haven't done yet.
See, and it's not just fires it would be beneficial on. You go on a medical call because every rig's got the same computer, the same program.
You have to get everybody to read it too.
And I've noticed an issue with that with the older generation. No offense.
Stubborn older ones that
it's like, I'm not reading that computer.
I'm not reading that.
Yeah.
That we never had this before.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a wealth of information.
Yeah.
You can get all the call on everything that dispatcher puts in. It's right there.
Yeah, and it gives you, and now you're able to make so you go to stage on something. Is it really a call you need to stage on or not? But you have your notes now. You can make an educated decision.
Yeah.
I know I've done that. I know lots of guys that have done that. Like, no, this one we're gonna go ahead and go on this. And then, but can you imagine you have your notes, and then you have, a pre-plan of a building. So now instead of coming on to the north side, like, oh, we need to go to the west side. There's a door there, and we're right there where we're not walking half a mile in this building because every city has those buildings that are huge.
Yeah. And we know where the fire department hookups are that are hidden
Immediately.
behind this shrub that we
Yeah.
would never find.
Oh, yeah, we have a fire department hookup here on the CD corner, and look, there's a hydrant 100 feet away. So now we're not dragging thousands of feet of big yellow and relay pumping, and then trying to find this, and so now our coordinated attack is much faster. And by the time we get crews to the floor of the high rise, they've already got the water waiting. Instead of, okay, we're here. Have you guys found we know there's always going to be issues at a fire, but if we could take 4 things away from that, how much smoother is that going to go? How many more lives are you going to save? How much more property are you going to save?
Or you find out where you hook up from the standpipe 1 floor below to the
Mm-hmm.
apartment is 95 feet. So you've only got 5 feet to go inside the door.
Yeah. Or that.
Been there, done that.
And that's why we carry 200 feet of hose.
Well, back then it was 100.
Yeah. I do remember that.
Yeah.
God, what was it? We had 5 or 6 years on when we changed to 200 feet, I think.
Yeah. Yep. Because
About
I
15 years
remember,
ago.
I remember getting the high-rise / hotel pack and having to learn how to fold it and having to tape down on the bay floor.
But I mean, and that's just using a small part of these computer programs that are out there to change how we do things, change our tactics. Just like the science that's out there that, again, no offense to the older generation, but they're not buying into.
Right.
And you can't disprove it. Like I'm a big proponent of the underwriters' laboratories. I know they're not firefighters and they're scientists, but the information they're putting out is huge. And I've done the transitional attack before, many times. And if you do it in the right situation, it works great. And not every fire is going to be like that, but we know that. But it fucking works. And it's nice going in and not getting an ass whipping with heat. If that makes me sound like a pussy, so what? Don't give a shit. It fucking works.
No, we used it the other night. And the only way we were going to put that thing out was that way.
Yeah.
Because it was a big-ass church. So, I want to ask you, have you noticed a difference since you've been retired? Or even before then, because you went to 8-hour days? Noticed a difference in your sleep and energy level and that kind of stuff?
Yes and no. I say no. Sleep, when I first went to the 8-hour day hazmat, I was a lot like my first captain when he came there. Right after I first came on, he told me later on, he said the first few months, he didn't sleep at all. He wanted to make sure he made the right decisions and all that. And it's such a new thing from the fire side of it. When you go to hazmat, there's so much more to know. You approach everything 180 degree different than what the fire crews do. And for me, the first couple months, I had a hard time sleeping the whole time. And then when I retired, man, I was just crashed out. I sleep till 9 or 10 every day. And then about 3 weeks ago, I had started having a hard time going to sleep. And I think the problem is, because I'd end up going to sleep about 2 in the morning, I'd want to sleep till 10 or 11. I don't think I'm requiring that much anymore.
Yeah.
Energy levels they've gone up a little bit. I've changed vitamins and I think that's had a big thing too. And I'm not eating quite as bad as I did at the fire station.
Have you noticed a weight change?
Not yet. I was hoping.
30 pounds in a month.
Well, I think I'm dropping just a little bit. I mean, I can see my waistline a little better than I could 2 months ago. But I mean, all that takes time.
Yeah.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Nope.
Like Tony Horton always says.
First step in climbing a mountain.
Doing the P90X again?
No.
Hey man, that stuff worked.
Yeah, dude.
I did it before we got married. Of course, that was
So
decade
kind of
ago.
back to the investigations and the museum and all that. They were able to get the fire prevention office, I don't know when they were going to do this. They were purging all their records. And they had records back in the 1800s of fire investigations. So if there's any big fires that anybody would like to read about, they probably got the records. I went through one the other day. My dad was telling me that when he was real young, he told me this about 10 years ago. He said that he lived at 8th and Tracy. He thought it was 8th and Tracy. And he said there was a fire in their apartment building. He said his mom woke up and opened the kitchen pantry door, and there was fire shooting out of it. So I did a little research, and I found out it was at 912 Tracy is where it was. This fire killed 10 people. I think it was 6 kids and 4 adults. Yeah. So I had to go meet somebody at the museum last week, and I had a little time to kill. So I go up there, and I'm looking around. I find this file. It's like 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick of newspaper articles, all the fire investigation stuff, police investigation stuff. It's got a picture of my grandmother with the bed that her and my dad were sleeping on at the time of the fire, and the police investigation reports from the homicide division, because it was a fatality fire. They interviewed multiple people, and they have all of those. They've got my grandma on one of them, and it was really neat. So if there's any old fires, we probably have a record of it, especially large
have to take a
life
trip.
loss like that.
Yeah. Well, and there's so much you can learn from that stuff too. I mean, just like, I don't know necessarily about tactics, but you can look at fire spread and stuff.
Well, this thing, so there was a cupboard. They used it like a pantry, and it was pretty much right next to the entry door to the apartment. So it burned through there, and it broke the transom window above the door, because it was, building was built in the 1800s, and they all had those old transom windows above their door for the heat. Mm-hmm. So it broke that, and it went down the hallway and then went up to the second and third floor. At this building, I think they said in 1910 it was converted to a hospital for a little while. Very small unit rooms. I think my grandparents had 2 units, and they were only 150 square feet apiece.
Wow.
But I just thought it was interesting. He was telling me about that years ago, and I finally found the information. Wish he was still around to show him. I think he'd be. Yeah. I think he did. Think it was pretty cool.
Kick out of that.
And I don't know if either one of you know. I know you don't. You might know Mario Vazano.
I know him.
His grandfather was 21 years old at the time, driving a milk truck, and he pulled that milk truck up under the fire escapes in the back to where the women could get down off of the ladder, because they didn't go all the way to the ground.
That's like, what, an 8-foot drop, I think?
I don't know. I don't know what it was back then. But it was, they had a picture of him in the paper and everything. I scanned everything I could.
Yeah.
It was. I thought it was neat. Neat history.
Have to take a trip down there, check it out.
Yeah. Why would they make fire escapes that don't go all the way to the ground? That doesn't make any sense.
It was back then.
Save money.
The 1800s. They said the building was super overcrowded.
Well, that doesn't.
All kinds of junk, and they had a couple of the inspectors' reports from before talking about how much trash there was here, there, and everywhere, and they had the custodian cleaned up this one area while they were still there, and all that. There was a whole newspaper there. I didn't even look at it. I don't know what was in it. But there's multiple newspaper articles, and then all the fire reports, investigator reports, inspector reports, police reports, and my grandfather's arrest report. And
Okay, so
you learned something about family history on that one.
I did.
I didn't know that.
I did not.
So that begs the question, why did he get arrested?
Well, he didn't get arrested there. I think there was 5 or 6 just sounded like fighting. in the past. Now, the very last one, I think it was in 1943, and said he was released by homicide division. So it sounded to me like somebody might have died in a fight. I was like, holy shit.
Nicolas Cage.
It's not Con Air, man.
Kind of what it sounds like. 1943, World War II going on. Was he at the age to serve? Or World War One, maybe?
Yeah, he would have been of the age. I don't know. I don't know that much about him.
I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
It's like my wife's grandmother would always talk about her husband's side of the family, but never talk about her side of the family.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. I don't know if they just thought maybe it wasn't interesting, or their side of the family wasn't interesting. It was
So I've always heard about my grandma's side of the family. I don't know much about my grandpa's, but they didn't really like my grandma. So,
Well, I think there was some of that too. 'Cause, I mean, I had that same stuff with my family. So, I don't know. It's just one of those weird things.
like my dad's side of the family, like those two grandparents, I don't know a whole lot about them either. So I think I think it's pretty common, more common than we think.
yeah.
So
I know most of that side of my family stayed around Tipton and Boonville area, and then in the counties right around there, Johnson County and Morgan County and all that. And I know my dad's dad came here, and I don't know if it was you need to leave, or what kind of deal that was.
could have been a work thing. Like jobs were here at the time.
Yeah.
Reading a new book about a certain major collapse. It was talking about how one of their major companies started here and still in business with their cards. I'm sure you can figure out what I'm talking about. And how it was kind of booming in the 20s, starting to boom in the 20s, and things were changing, and the economy was going up, and just the change and all the people coming in from all over. And I mean, we have the big surrounding, we have the metro, but then when you cast it out even further, a lot of people from other cities were coming in, and the economy just took off, and jobs were everywhere in that time period. So,
Well, I don't think it's very different today. I mean, think of how many people we have from out of the city and out of the state that come to work here.
yeah.
So
And
and
that's not just the city jobs. It's, you know what I mean?
yeah, it's
And same thing. I know.
it's a major metropolitan area, so you're going to get people to gravitate in. I mean, think about it. I grew up in BFE, Louisiana, and I ended up here. So
Yeah, yours is a little different.
basically the same. I mean, I didn't come here specifically for a job, but
Your wife at the time was like, "This is where we're going," and you said, "Okay."
I didn't
Yeah.
come here specifically.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
Yeah. Didn't come here specifically for a job, but it was a lot easier to find a job here
Yes.
than it would have been back home. I mean, my options back home would have been either the military, offshore, or Walmart. I mean, that's pretty
I
much.
couldn't work at Walmart. That's pass. You'd be a horrible greeter.
Offshore. I'd have gone offshore.
Yeah. I was on that track.
I don't know. I've seen the show Swamp People.
That's south of I-10, bro. South of I-10.
Snooty Louisianians.
That's on my bucket list.
Go gator hunting.
Yes. I had a friend, we were grading tests, and he was from Florida. He said, I got with a bunch of guys and we went gator hunting. He said, it was the nastiest, slimiest, he said, we gave the tags back, and they were like, no, you got to fill them. And they said, we ain't filling those.
So is that something that you are still doing or going to continue to do, is the grading for promotional?
Planning on it, yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I learn things every time I go, and I like to pass that information on. And if, like I've always said, if anybody ever wants help studying, I'm there. I don't tell anybody no. I don't hold anything back. Everybody gets the same information, the same amount of information, which is everything I can give them.
It's the way it should be.
But I go and I you know, you interact with guys all over the country and gals, and every fire department, for the most part, 98% is the same. Everybody's got their little innuendos.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the problems are the same. Hiring, overtime,
Complaining.
can't get these millennials to work.
They're
You
changing
know.
things. They're not changing things.
Everybody's got a Moran they can't get to come in.
Oh, well, if certain battalion chiefs hadn't just been giving him time off willy-nilly to go on Jeep trips,
Hey,
then
you know.
you set a precedent that has been...
Hey, there's our new hashtag. Where's Moran?
There you go. I like it. We'll shoot that Instagram video later.
Those are pound signs. They're not hashtags.
We're trying to keep up with the times, man.
Yeah. We're not really good at all this social media stuff.
Yeah, social media sucks.
We need a millennial to do that for us, but, you know,
There's plenty of them out there.
yeah, they don't want to do it for us, though.
We don't pay very well.
My daughter's boyfriend is in this academy class, and they've been giving him hell. I said, and he was questioning me the other night, and I said, look, it's all character building. I said, trust me, I did a lot worse things than what you've just done. I did some stupid things when we came on, but you know, you live and learn.
Yeah. Well, and that's something like, how do you prepare somebody for this career field, mentoring them to make them understand, like, just the...
It's not personal. That's the thing.
Yeah, just the culture and the constant testing that we kind of put each other through all the time.
Well, one of the first things I tell them is, look, you're getting a whole new family, and you're going to spend a third of your life with them. And with every family, you've got the sister that's always nagging you, and the brother that's always on your butt to do better, or to do this, or to do that. And I said, you're going to have that. And you're going to have the ones that you're best friends with. I said, you just have to learn to live with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because, frankly, you know, you don't want to be at odds with someone and them be the ones that have to pull you out. They might say, man, screw that guy. I'm tired of his shit. So
I hope nobody will ever say that.
Yeah.
I would hope not either. But I mean, you know.
But people are people.
Yeah. Well, and trust. I mean,
I
on
think
this
that's the biggest
job.
piece right there is the trust in
Yeah.
each other. I think you hit the nail on the head on that one. And you got another breaking point.
Yeah. Because when's too far, too far.
Yeah.
And it's different for each individual.
Winner jokes too far.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Can't say that I've seen anybody take anything way too far at any point in time.
Or have a bad reaction to a joke.
Or have a bad reaction to
Yeah.
a joke, yes. That's that doesn't happen. Never happened.
When you have too many chairs put in your office and just explode.
It's not about the chairs, bro. Not about the chairs.
Whatever.
Nobody
Just 'cause-
cares about chairs.
It's because they were rolled in some dog poo. It's not their fault. The chairs did nothing to you.
Wasn't dog poo, but yes.
Never show your weakness.
Yeah. Yeah, but even then, I mean,
Never show your weakness. Because that weakness will come to haunt you.
you're not wrong.
It's like when a lion sees a wounded antelope.
Oh, yeah. Blood in the water, baby.
Yeah.
Blood in the water.
But why do you think we do that, though, to each other? Is that part of that whole testing thing that I was talking about? Just testing you to see how far?
I think that's the kind of the human nature thing of it there. Everybody tests everybody to see how far. I mean, I'm sure you've done it with Rachel. How far can I push this before I know not to go any farther? I mean, we've all done it.
I do it every day.
Yeah. And some people are more fun to do it with than others. But, you know, you kind of want to prepare them, too, for what is to come. You don't want them to be just, hey, why does this happen? Hey, you set yourself up.
Well, I think it goes to running calls with the public. You know, so there's like you have rules in a fire department or in a corporate job. When it comes to the public, they have no rules. They can kind of say and do what they want to an extent. I mean, there's laws, of course.
Well, there's laws and
But-
there's a societal contract of how we're supposed
And
to
how
behave
many,
with each
and
other.
how many people
but-
don't follow that contract.
Yeah, I know.
And like we've all had some things said to us or
Oh, yeah.
been on calls where things have been said, and you have to eat it. And if you can't, it's going to cause an issue on scene. And it could cause an issue in your career or all of our careers. And we are there to help and and you have to be able to control your emotions and not have an emotional response. You can deal with it later, of course, and you should. But at that time, because if you react wrong, you're going to have a whole neighborhood on you
That's true.
or an entire family. And help isn't seconds away.
So how do you make the younger generation see that? How do you prepare them for that? Besides endless practical jokes.
If
Well,
I hadn't
they
answered
could-
that question, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
I mean, I think you got to explain to them what they're going to be seeing too. And you don't have to say, we're just jacking with you just to prepare you. We're jacking with you to have fun, pass the time, kill time, you know. Because if you just sit there the whole time and you'll get all tensed up, ready to go, well, you got to blow off steam somehow. And if you're in an area where you don't have that many calls, it gets boring.
Yeah, that seems to be places where there's the most problems.
Yes. It gets very monotonous and
I mean,
people start getting after each other and then people start complaining and then one thing leads to the next and you're down at City Hall.
when we were at a slow station, how much fun did we have messing with each other? And then how many issues kind of came up because we had that time. Because there were some issues. Let's not sugarcoat this.
Yeah, no, there were some issues. I think we were probably better than some crews, worse than others. But I think on the whole, our issues were pretty small, and we never let them get to.
Yeah, we never went to City Hall.
Yeah, never went to City Hall
Right?
over it.
Never had to stand in front of the man or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Well, I
but
mean, you should always be able to work out your differences together.
it should be, but not everybody has that skill set,
No.
and it's kind of hard to teach at a certain age.
Well, it's easy to teach. It's hard to make them learn.
Yeah.
Some people get so stubborn.
Yeah.
I mean, my daughter is a great example of being stubborn.
Have you met her dad? Let's be honest here.
Oh,
That's good.
touche, sir. That's shots fired.
With all due respect, Chief.
Rebuttal.
Got nothing.
Oh, but no, you are right on that. I mean, that's one of those things where you have to.
You have to swallow your pride.
Yeah. Well, and you got to be able to know how to communicate with different people and different personality types because not everybody's going to receive information the same way or even interpret it the same way. So you got to know. That's whenever you talk about leadership of knowing your people and how to motivate them.
Yeah, you have to know which people. You can take a crew of 6 people and you can tell them all to do the same thing and they'll do it 6 different ways. Or you can go to each individual and say, I want you to do this, or I'd like you to do this, or hey, can you do me a favor? And it'll all come together. You just have to know how to deal with people. But you have to learn your people too.
Yeah.
You can't just go in blind and say, I want you to do it this way. I want it. Oh, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree 100%. Because if you end up knowing your people and really learning who they are, then you can set them up for success.
What sets you up
Instead
for
of-
success too is the company officer or battalion chief or wherever you're at, instead of being the micromanager.
Well, if your people succeed, then you succeed.
yeah, if they fail, it's because you failed
Yeah.
as the leader.
If
That's,
you're-
that's my opinion.
If you're micromanaging, you've already failed.
Yeah, I agree. I hate being micromanaged because it goes one in one ear and out the other.
Yep.
Like, you just tell me what you need to get done. Let me go get it done. because Jeremy's way is his way, my way is my way. Neither way is wrong,
But my way's more right.
and that's why nobody wants to work for him. Why do you get dog poo put in your office? Your communication skills are lacking, bro.
I might
have spearheaded that. I don't know.
Well, that's a big thing too, is communicating and keeping the lines of communicating open.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to purvey that thought other than just talk,
Well, I think sometimes it's a tone thing. Like you might
That's a big thing too.
you don't always it doesn't always come out the way you mean it. You know what I mean? Sometimes your tone's off and you don't realize it. I'm 100% guilty many times.
Oh, and sometimes people come in, they're not really looking for an answer to something. They just want somebody that'll listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some situations where you just got to sit there and listen and pay attention. Don't fold your arms. Don't be messing with your phone or the computer or anything like that. Sit there and listen to them.
Computer's off, man. Shut up.
Like we go over this all the time because he will sit back and just fold his arms for a whole podcast. Oh, but I'm listening. No,
that's
your body language says you're not.
So I understand the body language thing. I get it, and I get where it comes from. But at the same time, that's comfortable for me to sit like that. I'm still engaged. I'm still listening. That's just my way of listening.
Yeah, but to the person that's talking, they're not interpreting it the way that you...
Well, that sounds like they have an interpretation issue.
You got to meet in the middle, bro. You can't just...
sitting here,
This is the way that I am, and this is how things are going to go. No wonder...
You just tell them you're taking notes.
I am. I take...
in my brain? Yeah.
There's like 17 terabytes of data sitting here right now. And I still have 1,000 terabytes to go.
How'd you figure that?
Quick math.
That's not an answer.
That's what you're getting. It'd be too... You would understand. It's way above your pay grade.
It's kind of like the silent air thing.
Yeah. Idiot. Oh. What? Why are you looking at me?
So sensitive all the time. Get out of your own head, man.
I'm not the sensitive one of the group. And if I am sensitive, it's just because, my hormones are not where they should be.
I'm going to refrain from this one.
He might be cycling this week.
I definitely think he is.
Testosterone and cortisol are not where they should be, people. And unfortunately, that's one of the side effects of this job. It will mess your hormones
It's not
up.
just the job. It's getting older. And
I think
there's the genetics, too. All this plays a factor. And then I think when you take your genetics...
So why don't you look that up and look up low T with first responders?
Oh, I know it's there. I've read those articles.
Yeah.
It's there.
That's a real fucking thing.
I know. I'm not saying it isn't. But you got to look at everything as a whole. You can't just say, oh, it's 100% this.
But first responders are how many more times likely to have elevated levels of cortisol and
I think it was like seven times, I think.
Yeah, and lowered testosterone.
Yeah.
So you're going to tell me that genetics...
It definitely plays a factor.
Obviously, it plays a part. But as a whole, you can't say that just everybody that has that it's bad genetics and you just happen to be a firefighter or you just happen to be a cop.
That's not what I said. It's all of it. You can't just say I'm having this problem because I'm on the job. That's not all that there is to it. Because there's plenty of people on the job who don't have that problem.
Yeah, but we're 7 times more likely to have that problem from being on the job.
Yeah. So now, does your genetics increase that?
I don't know, but we know for sure the job does.
Yes, your genetics increases that. That's how it works.
But do my specific genetics increase that? Because as far as I know, they don't.
I don't know. Do you know everybody in your family, the entire genetic line?
No, do you?
Fuck no. But it's definitely a factor.
How do you figure that out? Is it just a coincidence?
No, you have to go to somebody smarter than you. That's why we have scientists.
Yeah, and they're doing studies that say
Yeah.
if you go into one of these career fields, you're 7 times more likely to have elevated levels of cortisol,
So
low testosterone.
How many more times likely are we to get cancer?
A bunch more.
It's about 5 times more.
5 times more likely than the national average. How many more?
How
much
many
more
people
likely?
don't get cancer on this job? So just because you're many times more likely to have something doesn't mean that's going to happen.
It's just whatever triggers it because you have all the cancer cells in your body.
Yeah.
It's whatever triggers it.
Right. But would you be exposed to those things if you weren't a firefighter?
Who's to say? You're more likely to be exposed to it, yes. Doesn't mean you are. That's just the way it works. So the chances are good that one of the 3 of us is going to have cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's about 1 out of 3.
But again, my question is, if we weren't firefighters, would we? What would the number be then, Chris?
I think it's 1 out of 2. Or no, 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4 Americans have cancer. Get cancer. So I think it's the number.
That you might want to look that up. That seems a little high. That's a quarter of the population.
It's skyrocketing right now.
Mm-hmm. Look at the firefighter ones first. So we have a 9% higher risk of being diagnosed with cancer and a 14% higher risk than the general population.
You still think it's genetics?
I never said it wasn't 100%. You're trying to be a lawyer and you're being a douchebag. Just stop. It's not all one or the other. It's a combination of many things.
I didn't disagree with you. I'm
Now,
just saying
again,
that
you're at a higher risk.
Yeah,
So the risk is higher. That doesn't mean you're gonna get it.
I know.
Same thing with testosterone. You're at a higher risk of having lower levels.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean it's gonna happen.
Right.
So some of that depends on where you work, the stress you allow yourself to be under, the stress that you allow to affect you, not getting help when you need it. All those things play a factor. So getting help early in your career is going to lower your risk because now you can manage your stress because that's where it stems from.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go in your entire career and having those in those busy spots and having those exposures to the chemicals that cause cancer or the stresses that can cause your cortisol levels to be off, which affects your testosterone.
So cortisol, how it was explained to me, and you might be able to look this up, the way or the reason that it affects first responders is because of the interruption of the circadian rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get the type of sleep that you should get.
Yeah, you get a dump of it.
Yeah. And so to talk on a broader term about that, Andrew Huberman did a podcast on the whole light pollution thing and how it's affecting pretty much everybody and wrecking everybody's circadian rhythm, and which is leading to increased cortisol and just the general population as well. So
Don't disagree with it.
Yeah.
But you have to look at everything as a whole. So start backtracing things. Like I'm here, so this level's off, and okay, this one's off, and this one's and then as you start fixing things, you start seeing things get balanced out. And I know diet is part of it.
Diet and exercise.
Yeah,
Big part of it.
And let's be honest, where you live is part of it. What part of the country are you in? What part of the world are you in? All those things play factors. Look at your allergies. How are your allergies bad in the Midwest? Are they bad in the South? You go to the desert, and I dry up like there's no tomorrow. I feel great because I don't have those irritants. But I'm not going to move to the desert. Fuck that shit. It's too hot.
I never had allergies till I moved here.
But you're also used to what's in the South.
Mm-hmm.
You were. You go back there, they might flare back up.
If you hit the right season.
true.
So, I mean, when we went down there, it was what? Summertime, wasn't it?
No, we went down in...
Was it fall?
No,
Fall, 'cause it was still
spring.
hot here.
It was spring.
I mean, we were wearing shorts and stuff already.
Yeah.
So I think it was like that spring, summer, like right in that middle.
Yeah, because I think it was May, actually. It's
Yeah,
late April or early May.
That sounds about right. And,
Yeah.
you know, our seasons are changing.
I'd go out to my sister's in North Carolina, and it was usually May-ish. It knocked me in the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Just different allergens and pollens and stuff that you weren't used to.
Yep.
So, I mean, all these things, everything that we're exposed to is a factor. We just don't like talking about those.
Why is that?
Because we're Americans, we want a magic pill that's going to fix us instead of doing the hard work to fix it.
When did that change?
50s, 60s.
You think it was that late?
Yeah, it's about the time you start having more pharmaceuticals. The companies starting to get built big in the 70s. Like, oh, we have a magic pill. So easy fix. So we started getting lazier. Nobody wants to work for it anymore.
Patient cured is a patient lost.
That's right, that too. I mean, if there was a magic pill to help me lose 50 pounds, don't you think I would take it?
Yeah.
I'm fucking lazy. I'm not going to make any bones about it. But it's not healthy to take in my opinion, it's not healthy to take medication to lose weight. Or certain medications.
So I agree and disagree with that, because there are certain medical conditions that people have where they can't lose weight or gain weight or whatever on their own.
Yeah.
Sometimes you
do need pharmaceutical help.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that.
But I think it's relied on too heavily. And I mean, we could go down that rabbit hole of, psych meds and how much they've been prescribed. You good?
Mm-hmm. Just burping.
Yeah.
Didn't
So,
want
I mean,
to burp in the microphone.
So think about it. So
I appreciate that.
When you look take Opie as an example, and retiring, now the diet's completely changed. You're not eating those heavy foods that they chew at the fire station.
Not completely.
Well, not as much, right?
Sometimes my wife's not
Well,
home.
But now it's in moderation.
Yeah.
I mean, so when we eat at the firehouse, how much of that is really good for you as a whole? Now, there are meals and there are stations that eat pretty healthy, but as a whole, it's not that great for you.
Right. There's a lot of fried foods,
A lot of carb heavy
yeah.
meals, and I like those too. Don't get me wrong, but now that increases your waistline, adds added pressure to your joints, and you throw your gear on and all your equipment, and then you get wet, and you wonder why you have tears and joint pain and
Not to
this other
mention
stuff.
what it's doing to your cardiovascular system.
that too. So again, it's not just one thing; it's a multitude of things. So you got to take everything into consideration and make more than one change. And it's not just a magic pill. That's why I quit drinking pop. That's one change I made. Started eating healthier. There's number 2. Started working out. There's number 3. Quit being as lazy as I am. Number 4. And that's just in the last few months. I mean, I have no idea what I'm going to change in the future. But you got to make small changes now to benefit you later. And same thing with mental health and setting up for retirement and all that stuff.
Well, it's the 24-hour principle, right?
Yep.
Try to be a little bit better today than you were yesterday.
Mm-hmm. I'm watered out.
There's going to be some interesting noises that have been picked up on the microphone today.
Go back talking to Opie. I'm bored with you.
What do you have to say on the subject?
You don't want to know what I have to say because
Why
we
not?
will go down a rabbit hole.
Okay, let's go.
No, we're not going down that rabbit hole because all rabbit holes lead to the same hole. So, pick a different topic.
Wow. Seems like maybe you have some controversial thoughts on the subject.
Not a big fan of pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, I think
I
we
think
all
we're
in agreement on that. So
I'd rather try to do it naturally first. Give that a shot. I mean, and there are some conditions where you think you have to. But as a whole, I think we could fix a lot of things just with changes. I mean, look at the hormones that are put in food now. That's a big one.
Soy products. Soy products were designed to lower testosterone levels.
yeah.
And they started that in the 60s on purpose to demasculinate the United States.
Yeah.
I can believe that.
I've been watching, I haven't finished it yet, but watching the Joe Rogan podcast with Robert Kennedy Jr. And he was talking about the whole vaccine thing, the vaccine schedule, and how it was when he was a kid and when it exploded to be as big as it is now and all that stuff. If even half of what he is saying is true, and I don't know because I haven't looked it up yet, but it's fucking scary.
Would you put it past the government to try to control a population like that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what do people with power want?
More power.
How do you get more power?
You cancel small YouTube channels and hide all their shit. Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, we're in agreement. I don't think anybody's disagreeing about that. And I think there are enough people saying that stuff now that I don't know if anything's going to change, but I mean, I would like to hope eventually it would.
Maybe we need to do a conspiracy theory episode and have Opie come in.
You have to watch what you say because they will take your channel down.
We've already run into that several times where we've been shadow banned. Where
they'll just flat out take it down.
Yeah. So they made it to where you couldn't search for us for a little while. Like you would have to type in the whole name of the podcast before we would come up. Like if you were subscribed to it, you weren't getting notifications.
I haven't gotten notifications in a long time.
Yeah. So you might want to check and see if you're still subscribed because they unsubscribe you too. And I mean, this is something that.
Sorry. That came out of nowhere.
Nice one.
Sorry.
It's something that, I've seen on other like big channels have talked about it of, hey, make sure because they're doing this. And I'm like, whatever. That's not really a thing. And then it happened to us because we used to make the joke of we're too big or we're too small to be shadow banned or, whatever. They don't care. Nope.
I think it's certain words or phrases that they have in their algorithm. Because, I mean, so I looked up, I clicked on a t-shirt on Facebook the other day, and now I've seen 100 different kinds.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus. So it's all about that. I mean, how do we watch that? Did you watch that deal on Netflix about social media? Basically confirming everything we already knew. And the algorithms and how they're tracking your eyes and what you're looking at.
I don't subscribe to Netflix.
Okay. They got some good documentary. That's all. You do you. But, it might be on Hulu, too. I don't know which one or any of those.
Subscribe to that.
Okay. I'll record it on my phone and send it to you.
We turned the cable off, which was really good when the girls were in school because we couldn't get them to, you bring them up and what we've always been programmed because that's what it is programming.
Mm-hmm.
When we came up, go watch TV, go do this, go do that, go outside, whatever. And we never really read that much. Then there was a big push for reading where my wife was after me for probably about a year. Let's get rid of cable. So we finally got rid of cable. And that was great. The girls were like, there's nothing on. Go read a book. The little brats would read 4 or 5 books a week. I was getting in the poorhouse. And then...
it's library card, man. Get you a library card.
Yeah, well, we did that. And then we ended up... we just turned the TV off. We stopped watching the news because it's all propaganda anymore anyway. They tell you what they want you to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely tell you everything.
It's just like in Good Morning Vietnam when those two guys are back in the back handing him the news. Hey, you can read this, but you can't read this. That.
Yeah. Have you seen the thing? I know you're not really on social media probably, Or are you a little bit? Have you seen the thing with all the local news channels, the mashup?
That's old.
Yeah, where they're all saying the same thing.
Yeah, the exact same. Yeah, word for word.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you got like 4 people that own all the news networks, or 3 or something like that.
Yeah. There's like
the major ones anyway.
There's like 5 big corporations that own 98% of everything. And 2 of the big investment companies are BlackRock and Vanguard. They have their hands in everything.
There you go.
It's you start doing deep dives into that kind of stuff, it can make you question a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Just put it that way.
Oh yeah.
I don't know where to go from here.
Well, I'll go.
What do I do with my hands?
So, they talk about some of the channels tell you, you should have food and water on hand. Well, really, we live in the Midwest. We should have that anyway. We have storms. We have tornadoes. We have ice storms in the wintertime. You should have a little bit of something,
Yeah.
Couple 6-packs of SpaghettiOs and, shit like that.
Yeah. Something you can eat cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I do like spaghetti. I haven't had one. I haven't had SpaghettiOs in a long time.
That's why I threw that in there.
Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
But no, you should really, regardless of the conspiracy theory side of that, you should have, 4 or 5, 10 days worth of food and water in case something happens.
I mean, we've had ice storms hit out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And things are shut down. And then you have a cold snap streak on top of that. And it's like, you can't get the streets cleared, hard to get out. I mean, we still get out.
My senior year of high school, we had spring break, ice storm over spring break. And that power was out for, I think, 6 days. And we had some of our friends living with us because we had a fireplace. And
yeah, we had the same thing. Well, when Katrina hit, and then the very next week, I can't remember what the name of the hurricane was, but it came right up the Sabine River Pass and hit the other side of Louisiana. Dude, you couldn't get gas. My dad had to drive 50 miles to get gas. Electricity was out.
yeah, people don't think about that.
Yeah.
If the power's out, you're not pumping gas unless it's gravity fed.
And how many of those do you see anymore?
Not very many. You get out in rural towns and you might
Every
find
once
them.
in a while in a rural town, you'll see it.
You're not getting money from an ATM.
Nope.
You're not going to the grocery store because the grocery store 3 days before the storm was cleared out.
Yeah. And not to mention, they don't have any power to sell you anything because everything runs off electricity.
And look at the toilet paper thing a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Still don't
Same
get
kind
that
of
one.
thing.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
That's the way it was.
That one didn't it didn't cause diarrhea.
Well, that was, it could have been a manufacturing side too,
I did hear something about that. It had something to do with like Canadian trees or something.
I don't know.
I could just be putting 2 things together. I don't know. But yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. So I know you've done work on your Jeep since then, and you were working on it before then. Parts that were easy to get before, just random things you can't get now. It takes weeks and weeks to get stuff in, whereas before you could have it in 2 days. And then other things that, you might have had to wait a little while. Now all of a sudden there's plenty of that.
I got a new radiator last week. Took 2 days.
Yeah. It took me, I replaced my axles, and it was 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's generally because they build them on order. They don't have them pre-made normally.
All right, so I bought my brother a pit boss for his birthday, and it didn't work right. So we started over, cleaned it out, went through the whole process of firing it up for the first time and burning it off. Still didn't work. So I mean, it wouldn't set it. You set it at 350 degrees to burn everything off, and it would shoot to 500, and you'd open the lid, and all of a sudden you get fire in your face. Like, that's not normal. Call the manufacturer. Like, because we're both saying motherboard's got to be bad. And of course, they say the same thing. And they're on back order at Pit Boss for the motherboard.
Well, that's because it's a chip and it comes from China.
Yeah. But it's just one, so it's random things. I can go buy a new one, but I'm not going to pay another $600-700 for a smoker just to get the motherboard.
Like you just trade it in.
Because fuck Lowe's. No, so he called and tried to get a new motherboard from them. Like take one out of theirs, and then Home Depot would
send it back.
Yeah, would send them a new one. Or I'm sorry, Pit Boss would send them a new one. And they're like, no, you have to bring yours in. We'll give you a new one. It's like, oh, you're going to put it together for me? Well, no, that would take 2 weeks, and because we had to put it together. It's not hard. It's just time consuming. So now I give this one back to Lowe's. They get the motherboards into them, and they put it in and sell it to somebody else. But now I've got to take my time again and put a new one in, or put another one together, with no guarantee that motherboard's going to be good. I have a problem with that.
Kind of sounds like you should have went with a Traeger.
Yeah, pay another $500 for the same thing.
I converted mine to it was a propane smoker that burned wood in just a little cast iron box. Mm-hmm. And the whole bottom of it finally rusted out, so I ended up converting it, and I went with Smoke Daddy. And that thing's worked great. And I ended up ordering another because I have a second smoker at the lake identical to it. And I was like, I'm tired of that thing just sitting there because we could throw something on it before we went out on the boat, have it ready when we came in, not have to worry about fixing anything.
Perfect.
So I just ordered another one the other day. I've been impressed with them.
There's a new smoke shop up here. I went there the other day, and they had some really nice ones. It was about $4,000. But it was heavy duty steel. It was made in the U.S. And I was like, yeah. My wife told me no. She pulled me out of there. Because I was going to buy it right there.
Well, we had one at 19s at the old station that Fast Eddie had brought in that he had built. And I'm trying to think of the price on those. The comparable model, it's like $7,000. I'm like, I'll just convert what I have. I can't afford that.
No, I mean they're expensive.
Well, I'm just cooking for 2. I'm not cooking for 30 all the time.
Yeah, there is that. I mean,
if you got a $7,000 smoker, you better be doing competition.
Yeah,
you better be good.
Yeah,
because I mean, mine's enough to feed my family. Me and Jane, my son, his girlfriend, my parents, and my brother and sister-in-law. That's all I need. I don't need to be feeding, 30, 40 people.
I have people everywhere we travel to. Where's the best barbecue in Kansas City? And I said, frankly, depends on what shift and what station you're at. I said, it's at a fire station. It hands down beats the heck out of all these restaurants.
I don't disagree.
I like mine a little better than going out. And my buddy in Illinois, he smokes all the time, and that's where I've learned how to do a lot of it, and it's delicious.
In Illinois?
Mm-hmm. Weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's a lot of trial and error. I mean, not everything he makes I like, but as a whole, it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
And of course, I take what he's taught me and change it up. And
well, I think it's one of those things. It's one of those things that's kind of like music or art or movies or something. Not everybody's going to like the same type of barbecue. So some people are going to like it a little sweeter. Some people like that bullshit vinegary stuff.
Vinegar's for douching. It's not for eating.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. I don't like vinegar.
Yeah. But some people like that. So.
See, I think you go some places, it's too salty. I've had that.
Yeah, I've had that.
So. Like that place we went to in Texas. We went on that. Where did we go?
Yeah, ask Josh Kopke about salty fish.
I'm curious of that story now. But that barbecue was good.
Yeah,
that we had, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't super.
Anything to write home about? Like, yeah, it's decent.
Yeah,
I mean, Texas barbecue's okay. They just took our ideas and changed it a little bit.
Well, I think
I said what I said, Texas.
every region, I think, has their thing that they cook that's a little bit different from everybody else. And
Yeah.
I think mostly Texas is brisket. I mean, that's
They do a lot of beef.
Yeah.
Memphis does a lot of pork.
yeah,
But here, we do all of it.
yeah.
Yeah. There was a place in Nashville that's really good. Martin's Barbecue. You're in there in Nashville?
Never been in Nashville.
No. It was delicious. I like Nashville.
I'm not a fan. They committed murder on Music Row.
Anyway.
George Strait, Alan Jackson reference. Sorry. Anyway,
But yeah.
That's not in my playlist.
You don't like Alan Jackson? George Strait?
Who?
All right. Thanks for coming, Chief. We do appreciate it. If y'all have any issues, you need to reach out to somebody.
oh, no country music for you, huh?
No.
Classic rock.
Corn, Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah, see, I like that stuff too.
Classic.
That's
I'll go
what-
classic. I'll go Metallica.
It's not.
That one hurt. That hurt. Nirvana.
You know that. Unfortunately, definition is
Yeah.
correct because it is, but it just
25 years.
Yeah, that's
That
the
kills
stuff.
everybody.
Yeah.
You what? I figured you were a country music. Nah. Sorry.
Yeah. Still, for me, classic rock is still Foghat.
Yeah.
And, 38 Special. Best classic rock.
I still listen to that stuff too.
I listen to that all the time. Ugh.
Man,
Yeah.
getting old. It sucks.
All right. So what's your next Jeep trip? What are you doing?
I don't know. I think we're going to do the Pony Express Trail, which goes from St. Joe to Sacramento, California. We did the Santa Fe Trail from Westport to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and that was a lot of fun. Very educational and entertaining. Learned a ton. Saw a lot of neat stuff, and you just think about it. You drive across the plains out in Kansas and Colorado and New Mexico, and you just see a big field with these big ruts in it, and you just imagine, this time of the year it probably wouldn't have been too bad. It took them 3 months to get there by wagon train, but you see those ruts and you think about when it's 100 degrees or it's blizzard weather, and
Yeah.
Hard people.
yeah, it's tough.
And we complain if our air conditioner goes out in our vehicle.
When we got to Santa Fe, we went to the square where there are a couple different trails there that meet up on the square, and there's a monument for the Santa Fe Trail. So we walk over there, and there was a guy dressed in period clothing back in the 1800s, and he was talking to these two ladies and telling them about the Santa Fe Trail, and he said, "Do you know what was the demise of the Santa Fe Trail?" And they were like, no. And he looked at me and he goes, "Do you?" I go, "Yeah, the railroad." And he was just defeated. He was like, "Oh, I don't know if I
Stole his thunder.
yeah." but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Dodge City, depending on which way the wind blows, all you're going to smell is cattle.
Mm-hmm. Hadn't changed.
I didn't know that. And then, but yeah, I think we're going to do that. And then, I don't know what I was playing, really.
God, that must be nice, not having a plan. Just wake up like, I'm going to do this today.
I think that's how you live your life, though.
Put a little whiskey in my coffee and go to bed about noon and do it again at 4.
Oh, that it's not really a plan, Opie.
That is a plan. I mean, whose idea was it to enslave yourself for college debt, work 8 hours a day for 50 years till you're 65, not in our case, but from, corporate America, work till you're 65, retire for 5 to 10 years and die. You know, that's not the way God intended us to live. And I'm not gonna chain myself to the desk the rest of my career or the rest of my life. I'm gonna go have fun.
Yeah. Well,
I don't disagree with that.
I don't disagree with it. I mean, you do the things that you want to do. This is that time, in your life that you're able to do that.
Yeah, my wife's like, "You're retiring so young." I said, "I don't think you understand. This is the fire service. We don't work till we're 70 years old.
You can't.
Typically, you can,
Yeah.
but you can work yourself to death."
I think that's the exception to the rule, is the people that do.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're just so, you can tell a huge difference.
Well, we already have a shortened lifespan as it is. Or, I'm sorry, there's lots of factors.
Statistically, yeah.
Statistically,
Yes.
yeah.
The odds are not in your favor for a long retirement.
Yeah. But, I mean, that could be genetic, so.
It can be. What, you never run the cardiac arrest on a 30-year-old who's in shape and never done anything?
No, the only time that I ran that call was some douchebag who took pre-workout for the first time and didn't know that it was going to make his face feel flushed.
Our first CPR save, or my first CPR save, was on a guy. He was right around 30 years old. He was jogging up Corrington, just north of Front Street, and just collapsed. And we did CPR on him.
I mean, it does happen.
That's because he was jogging. That's not good for you.
No.
I like there's a meme out there. It's some Japanese doctor says your heart only has so many beats. why run the risk?
That's the Jeff Kennison model right there. That's what he says all the time.
I mean, what's a rabbit's lifespan, like 5 years? A tortoise is at 150 plus.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Anyway. All right. Well, we've been at this for an hour and 20 minutes, so.
Dang,
You've had
that
fun.
long?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeremy's enjoyed it.
I always enjoy whenever Opie comes. The next time he comes, we're going to try to get him to go down the rabbit hole. You've been talking, we need controversy.
I'm going to blur my face out.
You're going to pay for the editing program that does that.
I don't know.
I'm just saying, if that's what you want, man,
I'll just wear a mask.
just put you behind the camera. That's the easiest solution.
You wear a mask, I'll probably walk out. That was the most bullshit piece of medical information they ever gave us.
Oh, speaking of that, going back to that Joe Rogan podcast, they're talking about, and there's been several articles written about it, about the Spanish flu, the influenza 1918, 1919.
You know where that started, don't you?
In Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a biolab out there.
Yeah. And they're saying that most of the people died because of a bacterial infection, and they think it's because they were wearing masks.
Know who did that study?
Wasn't it Fauci?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Population control.
Yeah. So, I mean, fact check it, look it up. But that article's been out since what, like 2008, I think?
Yeah. He wrote it.
Yeah. Things that make you go, what the fuck?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Well, a lot of those things they called conspiracy theories during the time have been proven true here recently.
Mm-hmm.
That was a term in the 60s that the CIA developed to discredit people that questioned what was going on.
Yeah. The CIA doing shady stuff? I don't know, man. They seem on the up and up to me. I love the CIA.
Their agency... Their agency theme song is about to do some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Anyway, closing thoughts, Chris.
I'm going to stick with I love the CIA.
The government's awesome.
Government's my friend.
I just say everybody stay safe, stay well hydrated over the hot summer. I listened to a doctor speak a couple nights ago, and he was talking about when it's really hot on these days, put a little sodium in your water, a little salt. help you retain some of that water. So stay well hydrated over the summer, and everybody be careful.
Yeah, electrolytes are super important.
Gatorade.
It's just not as good for you as what you think.
Yeah.
I know, but it tastes so good. The red one.
Anyway. All right, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. If you're struggling, reach out. There are resources out there. If you know somebody that's struggling, reach out. Let them know you care. And thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.